The views and opinions expressed by the host and our guest does not state or reflect Ramona personally or the Life Designing with Ramona Rogers podcast. This podcast talk takes a glimpse into the lives of women that despite life's obstacles and challenges, they have knocked down the barriers and are succeeding in their chosen careers as well as in their life. This month, I'm focusing on women in higher education. I believe they are the backbone of society as well as the higher ed institutions that they are employed at. By default, they are surrogate mothers to their students, and they are to be celebrated. That being said, I have the pleasure of having Ms. Thesha Zeigler as my guest today. Hello, Ms. Zeigler.
Hello. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
Ms. Thesha is an academic success coach in the Office of Diversity and Equity and Inclusion at Tulsa Community College. Working in this position allows her to be an advocate for students, to put together strategies for student success by developing action plans. She works with staff and faculty as a resource for improvement with the curriculum, life strategies, personal wellness, food insecurities, and communication skills. So welcome, Miss Thesha.
Thank you.
So how are we feeling today? How are you doing this evening?
Well, actually, since the semester is coming to a close, I think I'm starting to get a little breath of fresh air, but maybe a week or two ago, frantic. It's a lot to get done and to, have a family, a lot of moving parts. But now we're coming to the end and I'm excited and starting to breathe a little easier.
Good for you. So one thing I like to start with is, what is a hidden gem that you have that most people wouldn't know about you? What is that one thing?
Oh, wow. Let's see. I would say the ability to have empathy and really care genuinely. Okay. I have that ability, and that makes folks really want to tell me their story. So that way, whatever the knowledge I have the opportunity to give them those seeds so they can grow. That's pretty much how I operate. Don't tell anybody.
That's a big gem because a lot of people don't have that one. So I read your bio, but tell me your story about how you got into higher education.
Oh, that's a good story. Okay, so I worked in the private sector for a little over 20 years, and I was working at UPS at the time. And I was so tired of layoffs, hot button issues. It was just exhausting. Couldn't sleep, trying to raise a family. Didn't know if we were going to get laid off or whatever. So I saw this ad in the paper. Now I'm about to tell you, how old I am, maybe. It was a Sunday paper. And I saw this ad for administrative assistant too, which in higher ed is pretty much manager of the office. And I was like, let's see what happens, because I'm getting tired of how this is operating. Might as well get into higher ed. So that was TRIO, Student Support Services. I started in 2005. So I've been there for 16 years. And I started to, instead of dealing with the numbers and the whole office, I began to make connections with the students and watching them grow, come in and just be like, I'm not sure what's going on. And then watch that whole journey until they graduate. And I thought, this fits me. And then I start to look at this more as a career instead of a job. So the more I grew, the more I got to know my students. I went back and got a master's degree in education. So now I'm on this side. Doesn't pay a lot, but I sleep well and I love what I do. And I don't have to worry about so much as the layoffs so much, because when we're changing careers, we go back to school, right? When we want to learn things, we go back to school. So it's always going back to school and learning. So it just causes me to grow more. So that's my story. That's how I got in it. I had no idea it was going to grab me the way it did.
So that was your defining moment, was that it was a good fit. You saw what you were doing, and it's like, yes.
Yes, that's it. That's it. It's a good place to be. And that's where I really start with the learning when I'm working with students. Let's talk career, not job.
Well, you're right. You're right, because in my opinion, and let's get your take on it, there's a different mindset when, depending on what word you use.
Exactly. Josh, you can always tell the difference between a job and a career, because if you have a job, when you wake up in the morning, you have this, oh my God, probably hit the snooze, a few times, dread getting ready for work and all of those things. But with the career, you ask yourself, wow, I can't believe I'm getting paid for this. I'm having so much fun. I'm learning so much. I'm touching so many lives. So that's what I grow. That's what keeps the smile on my face.
And you're glowing today. Yes, let me glowing. So you mentioned you're in the administrative type position. Did you also teach in the classroom?
Well, I just started teaching this semester. I kind of pushed it off for a while because I kind of thought that it would limit me as an academic success coach. I have the ability to move around, and go to different departments, collaborate, work with faculty and things of that sort. But then my boss, Dr. Dickens, he was like, yeah, you might need to take a shot at this. My resume is pretty filled, but teaching is not one of them I had on there. So I was like, let's see. And I completed my first class. Actually, it was added to 2 classes, and it has just been a joy. I think I've been bitten by the bug.
Wow. Classroom bug. Classroom.
Yes, it's been so exciting to watch this process live and be part of it from beginning of the class to the end. And see those light bulbs go off. I'm like, oh my God, I got it. So wow. I'm excited. But this is my first semester, and I'll be teaching in the spring as well. So we'll see how long this goes.
Sounds great. You mentioned student success. If I was a student and I came to your office and you're the student success office, what does that look like for a student? What do you do with them? What is the process? You want them to be successful, but what is it that you do with the students, or put in resources that you give them in order for them to be successful?
Good question. The first thing I do is start to build a relationship. Folks are not going to tell you their story or what their path is until they trust you. I know that's how I operate. And because of my background, we had to really read people, quote unquote, before we really start to give them any information. So when a student comes to my office, I always ask them how they're doing. How they're like, how's it going, and then I'll tell them about me, and if they have any type of issues and it's something that I've been through or I've experienced, kind of throw that in there. So we both have a good give and take during that process. And then when I see areas that may be concerning, I'm like, oh, well, tell me about this. So we may have students that have time management issues. And they're telling me that they're tired all the time. Why are you tired? And then I was like, well, I'm working so many hours or whatever, family, this, that, and the other. So then I was like, man, I remember that. I was a full-time student. I was a full-time worker, full-time mom. I know how exhausting it could be. Let me help you with maybe some time management. Let's look at that. And now they know I'm investing in them, while they're telling their story. So now we're building those relationships. Now we can go to other things. So if I fix this block or this issue, then we can add more. And now they just come into my office now sometimes, just to sit, to get their head together. So to me, that's the part of success that folks are missing. Build those relationships, real relationships. And before you know, that one can turn into a fist, and they can really knock this thing out.
Wow, that is amazing. Okay, I'm gonna have to use that. The one to a fist, and we can knock this out. That's a quote that you need to that you got to use. That is a good one. I like that one. I like that one a lot. You are the things that you're saying. You're lighting up. Are you an exception to the rule on campus?
I believe I am because my journey came late. Like I said, I was in the business sector for a while. It was numbers and money and things of that sort. So when I can spot a student if they need something, and then I can go over to them, and my presence is inviting. So they tell me what they need, and I can tell them where to go, and I'll walk them over to whatever department. You know what I mean? So getting that together with those students is very, very important to me. So investing in their success.
Ooh. What would you say are some common myths about your profession that you would like to squash?
Well, one, we're not gods. We're not. And we cannot snap a finger and your GPA will go up, or your classes will go well, or your communication with the instructor. So, we want to make sure that we walk them through, all students and even the parents, walk them through the reality of education. There's a reality, and it's still a business. Even though you have instructors or administration who would just smile, but man, if you earn that D or that F, coming to me as an academic success coach is not going to change it, but I can help you move to the next level, the next semester, be prepared. So those myths that we can just make things happen overnight. No, I tell all of my students, this is not a microwavable thing. This is a marathon. We got to, educate. I'm not going to tell my age, I'm still.
Okay. We all still
I've been at this a long time, and I'm always educating myself. I have an amazing boss who gives me articles or books. I have family. Like, did you know this? So they know I'm like a sponge. I want to know everything. And because I've started out so late, I'm really absorbing, trying to get how I can get those myths out. One of the other myths I would say I would try to keep students from, get rid of the Superman, Superwoman ideal. It's a myth. We need help, and we need to have that ability to ask for what we need. No need to drown. We're not alone. If we really look out here, we're not alone. There's so many resources. So we need to get those out there more often and make these connections like we're making today, And I'm so happy that you were able to step in and help us out with our African American summit. It was 3 years ago. We got some really good feedback, but making those connections kind of breaks down that myth that you have to do it by yourself. You don't. There's people like us who are here to help.
Yes. That brings me to this. When the pandemic hit, what was some things that you guys had to address or do differently? How have you guys recovered from all the things that you guys had to deal with in order to still educate, retention, all the, what does the terrain look like for you guys prior to COVID?
Yes, well, that's a really good question. And there's a lot of bells and whistles to it, too, because when it first hit, everyone was kind of like in a panic. How are we going to get everyone to do the work that's needed? Because we're still in education. The students have paid their money for these classes and everything. They want that. So how are we going to be able to do this in a hybrid situation? So we had to get laptops to everyone. It was a huge IT push to get everyone what they needed, the programs, the software, the connection, make sure cable. So once we got all of that together, then we were able to learn Zoom. how to do interviews, how to conduct classes, things of that sort. Always checking on us. We had so much support from TCC. They've even won awards because of having this transition. So we're still coming out of it. Fall, I guess you could say, we made the transition from 50%. And now I think we're like at 75%. We're not totally 100% just yet. So students are still struggle in some areas too, because they're missing that connection. And so are we. But if they can venture out, or if they've been vaccinated and stuff like that, they can come in and see us. And we're trying slowly but surely to get things back to normal as possible. But it's been a really good educational journey, I should say. So if we ever see this again, we have the blueprint.
Wow. The mental health aspect. What have you guys, or has TCC put in place in order to help the students maneuver this terrain? I have a college student, and for her, I know she had a tough time. Actually, both of them, they had kind of tough time. So I have two. You had a lot of students. How have you guys, or what has been put in place in order to help students?
Well, we have a wellness center at TCC, which is really good with licensed counselors. Each student who wants to visit there have 5 free sessions with the counselor, and of course the counselor has the ability to have other connections if they need medication, hospitalization, or whatever. So they do a deeper dive depending on the situation. Now, as an academic success coach, I can give those resources. I can help through the talk it through process, to see if it's how severe the situation is. And it has come to some real severe. I am the liaison to like the nursing program, allied health, communications, things of that sort. And those students are really intense because of that program. So I have a lot of students who contact me who are kind of breaking down and just need that extra push or that extra coach, like you can do it. So that helps with the mental process. TCC, we have a Google Voice. So now my phone will ring, get the number and the students can contact me through my cell phone. And sometimes they do call it special hours, let's just say. But if it has anything to do with their mental, I shut it down and I make sure that they have what they need before we get off the phone. So if they need a word of encouragement, or what should they do if they're feeling panicked or having sense of anxiety, I give them, a few strategies to help with that process. And I also always let them know the resources that we have. So if they don't get a hold of me, I give a name, I give a soft handoff. I'll let them know, hey, this person is coming, and then, but they always feel supported. I love the fact that TCC allows us, especially in our department, to not only build relationships in TCC, but also in the community and invite those community, people to come in and speak with our students or give us the tools we need to do better.
Awesome. That has been a big thing for so many people, including affected plenty of people in my family. So totally get it, totally understand it. I want to kind of circle back to you've given me a lot of what you've done and the excitement that comes along with where you are in life right now. What is a failure? What is the biggest failure that you had in this terrain, or what you've learned from that?
Well, it depends on, are we talking like professionally failures?
In your arena of higher education.
Well, okay. Well, one of the failures that come to mind right off is I was an assessment coordinator, and we were trying to get our academic veterans class off the ground because, our veteran students have a different background in the general population of students. Their maturity level is on a different, wavelength, and their patience sometimes, with those of us who could be green behind the ears and not really know what's going on out there. So TCC at the time was trying to develop something just for those veteran students. And I was going to be their instructor on how to learn those soft skills, how to engage with civilians, so they don't frighten or make the other students nervous or have anxiety. You know what I mean?
Yes.
This is jarring. And I've heard this from many students. It's kind of jarring when you talk to someone at the same age as you, but their life, there's life choices is different. They're real stern and serious, where you're still at an age where you still want to go hang out and party with your friends. And now we got to work together as a group. Tempers can sometimes get a little high sometimes. So with that being said, we did everything we possibly can do to put it together. But at that time, a lot of our veteran students did not want to identify as veterans because they didn't want to be treated as special or anything like that. I think I'm not sure what that connection is, but I know they didn't want to indulge in letting us know. Because there's nothing on the application at TCC that says, just like it wouldn't if you have children or anything like that. It's a very personal question to ask. So it didn't work out. A lot of work went into it. Yeah, it was sad. It was so good. And I really thought that we had something, but it failed, but we came out much, much stronger. Coming to something like this department that I'm part of now, because they can come to me and we can still get those same resources. If they need me in the classroom, I can come and give a presentation with those same skills that I was going to teach, for them exclusively. So yeah, that was my failure, but I learned a lot.
As long as you learn something, right?
Yeah.
Well, what has been or who your best resource to help you navigate the terrain or elevate in this space?
Oh, gosh. So many. Like I said, I started out, in business. That's why I came to TCC to do business. So in order for me to learn the things that I know now in education, it took a lot of hands. The first hand I would mention is Eunice Tarver. She's our vice president of equity and student success at Tulsa Community College. We met each other in trio. She was a counselor, and of course, I was an administrative assistant too. And she started to open up and talk to me about the world of education and how to make those connections and things of that sort. So I kind of, rode her coattails for a little bit until I was able to take the training wheels off for myself. And then anyone who was in any kind of power and to kind of show me how TCC, how the education works, how the money comes in, how the students get their money, how their pathway, they design programs, and then with the design programs, how the curriculum works. So I was just taking a deep dive. If you would have saw my book, if my brain was a book, it would probably be like this big, because everything. And then currently, and I know I keep saying about Dr. Dickens, my boss, but he is taking me to another level, which means more like the data, how to take what I'm doing. Because the questions he's asked, I've never had to answer these questions before, not in an educational setting. Mine comes, like I said, in business, but he helps me think in data, and data helps bring money. See how it all connected, you know what I mean? And we need money to run this institution. No one's going to come if we don't have the latest of whatever that is, technology, books, well-educated instructors. So having him peel my eyelids back to see wow, how can I frame this so we can get the data from it? That excites me, so yeah.
You are a lifelong learner for sure.
Yes, for sure. Keep the ball running.
Yeah.
I think we all should be in that space of learning,
Keyword should.
Yes.
What advice would you give to someone wanting to pursue the same type of career path?
Well, first, I would say ask those questions on what type of student you were. Ask what your real passion is. When I was a senior academic advisor before I got my current job, I would ask students what they really want, because I would have students that would bring their parents in and the parents would tell them what they want their child to do. Well, that's not fair. And I would show the student that you can make money from anything, any passion you may have, because whatever passion you have, you're going to take that deep dive to learn everything you can about it, no matter what it is. So that's what I would want students to have, is just to really, really look at what you really want to do, and you can really make the money, and you can never be unhappy because it's you. And who's going to be mad at yourself? Only time we're mad at ourselves is when we don't do what our passions are. I can be at a job working getting a 6-figure salary and just be totally unhappy. And everyone around me, they wouldn't want to be around me because I have a cloud. But, I may make less, but I have so many friends and family because I love what I do. I wake up thinking, wow, I can't believe I'm doing this. I'm getting ready to save. I'm getting ready to make an impact on someone's life.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Knowing what you know now about life and yourself, what would be some advice you would give a younger version of you?
I would say don't listen to those who have not gone that particular path, whatever path that is. I think I have always loved school, me personally. And if I had stuck with my guns, no telling where I would be in education right now, because I would have found out, that's what I should have majored in when I started out in college, knowing what my passion is, and don't listen to what other folks say. The reason I went to, I would say, get a bachelor's in business is because at that time, everyone was saying business is a thing. You can always get a job in business. You can always get this. You can always get that. But no one told me you can have a career in education or whatever you want and make money. So that's what my word is. Whatever your passion is, go for it. You can make money from it. Mm-hmm. So my advice would definitely stick with what your passion is, Thesha. You can't go wrong with that. And I wouldn't be starting out so late. I didn't get into, education until, my mid-30s. That's quite a ways. I mean, can you imagine? You have presidents and vice presidents who are in 30s, 40s. So I'm a late bloomer, but I'm coming in, busting the door down.
Do you think you would have had the same passion had you done it earlier?
Yes.
Okay.
I do. I just let someone else talk me out of it. And I would never let that happen again.
Good for you. Good for you. So what's next for you?
Well, of course, I talked about teaching. So I've completed my first semester. So I'm going to get a few more classes under my belt, a few semesters, and see how that goes. And who knows? I may go into faculty, but I do have one more goal that I want to reach. I want to get my doctorate in educational psychology. Oh. Because after having so many conversations with students and with us, just with friends and family, there's a connection. I need to find out where the procrastination comes from. What happens to the brain, what makes us, we know that there's something so important, but we will still allow ourselves to sit on the couch or lay in the bed longer than we should, but we will find that out. And once I make that connection, I think I can bottle it and sell it and make it.
I'm sure I'm sure you could.
Yes.
I'll be buying it. All right. Oh, what do you want your legacy to be?
Well, one thing I do know about me, I never want to waste anyone's time. So my legacy will be any time I've spent with anyone, I hope I brought brightness and joy to their lives. I never want to be in a position where I leave the room or leave someone's presence and their shoulders are down because I wiped them out. So when people talk about me, when I leave this place, I want to say, that Thesha, she was all right. We had so much fun. I learned a lot from her. She never kept anything from us that we needed. That's my legacy, not money, but heart.
Awesome. Awesome. Last question. My podcast and the things that I do is talking about living your life by design. What does living life by design mean to you?
We're at this stage of my life. Oh, that's awesome. Because now I have an empty house. Both of my kids are out. It's just me. So now it's travel, like real travel. Once, we get over the pandemic and things like that, we're just moving and going and saying yes to things that I had to say no to because I had so many responsibilities. Mm-hmm. So now that's me now, moving and going and learning and meeting and building just a whole nother me for this new chapter.
Awesome. New chapter. Yeah, I'm finally there too. Wonderful, wonderful. It has been a joy having you on my podcast, Live Life by Design with Ms. Thesha Zeigler from Tulsa Community College. I thank you so much for your time and good luck to you in everything that you do on Tulsa TCC's campus and all the students in the labs that you touch. So I am so grateful that you spent some time with me this evening. So wonderful, wonderful job, Ms. Thesha. Yay.
Thank you for having me. This was so much fun. I didn't know what to expect, but this is this conversation. I love that. And I'm so very proud of them.
We have to have more of them. So this is the Life by Design podcast.